As an influencer, I feel you're one of the most responsible people right now.
Self-care also means, having support around you, being supported and being okay with asking for help because you don't have to do it alone.
This is
Sampo, everyone.
Another episode of A Nay and a Moo with
Pema
and Tshering. So I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and
What?
and we've been like creating content and podcasts, and we've been singing for a very long time. But I was thinking about whether I know myself or not, like on a deeper level. Like, who am I?
How well do I know myself? Okay.
How did me happen? So that is something I want to talk about today. So let's start with you, Ipem.
All right. So, of course, it's not quantifiable. You can't say this is how much I know myself in terms of quantity, right? But for the longest time, I have felt like I didn't know myself. I've always felt like, the choices that I've made, the decisions that I've taken, my likes, my dislikes, everything has to do with the people around me or the situations that I have been. It has to make sense to everything around me instead of it only being about me, right? I felt that all of these, like I said, my likes, whatever my preferences are, my opinions have been borrowed. Okay, so then of course it's taken me time. Over time, I realized that I have to sit down and think and question myself whether, whatever I'm doing or I think of myself is actually me, or is it something that I've learned to be over time, to make people comfortable, maybe.
Adjust around.
Yeah, and then to seem more approachable, more agreeable. That is what it's been for me. What about you?
So for me, it immediately goes back to how I was as a child, because that determines like so much of your personality now, no? And I think growing up, I've always been a people pleaser.
Okay.
And of course, the questions would be raised, because if you were a people pleaser, who were you pleasing really?
Yes.
Because no one
What
around
is that
you,
about?
seems pleased. But then I think to have, to know that you have been like pleasing people all your life is so tiring, because
It must be.
you forget to live for yourself, and of course your opinions don't matter. But they do. And then for me, yes, I've always been a people pleaser when I was younger. Right now it's much better.
I hope so.
Yeah. And I've always tried to live for others, let's just say, like
Be more agreeable.
yeah, be more agreeable, and just be like a person who would just help them, pushing my things aside, and I'm like, okay, let's go, I will help you. So being a people pleaser is tough.
It must be, because then that means you are thinking more of how they're going to feel,
Yeah.
How you're going to fail them or disappoint them, and that is what you don't want to do. You have to be
Exactly.
liked. Oh no, but that means I'll be the bad guy,
Yeah.
right?
And then I think it's this innate ability to be liked by everyone around you. And then of course with it comes like so many habits that you have to learn and unlearn.
Unlearn.
And one of the most significant ones is the ability to say no.
Yes, I suppose a lot of us learn that late.
Yeah,
that it's
of course.
okay to say no.
And then again, it's connected to being a good child, no? So like, this is what I've thought. Usually when parents and adults are like, "Kasto ramro nani cha ho yo ta," or like, he's a good child.
Santoki.
Yeah, because they've been saying okay to everything you've been asking them to do. They have not been rebelling or, just doing their own thing.
Yes.
And then I think parents need to check that out. Okay. Look after your good kids. So then with it comes, yes, so many habits, you have to unlearn, like I said before. And the ability of saying no is one of the things. I think as a people pleaser, you're a yes man.
Yes.
I was a yes man. I would pretty much say yes to everything. Although like, I would be stuck in my own troubles and work, and I have my own deadlines. I would still be like, okay, let me just
help them.
So then it used to be so tough.
It has to take a toll on you after a while. So how do you think you've worked on it?
I mean, first, when I was young, I just couldn't say, like, I couldn't deny the help, because then I used to feel like I was an imposter or something like that.
Abu maile help kare na. Yeah, because again, I feel like, self-discovery can't be that one big moment, right? It has to, it builds over time as you understand yourself more, because you also have to give yourself the time to understand yourself more. What am I doing, or what am I doing wrong, right? Because that is when you also come to realize a lot of uncomfortable truths about yourself, and then you see patterns in the sort of behavior that you have put up with people, right? And then, of course, you have to work on what feels natural as opposed to what you're, maybe being pretentious about. Like performative is my new favorite word that we have been using a lot in the recent days. So how do you feel like, your self-discovery, so to say, has been? Because of course it's a process. It's going to go on for your whole life.
Yeah, answering like both the questions you asked. So right now, I think a lot of people have helped me to reach where I am right now. And then, like, I used to be this kid who used to absorb from like movies and people and what they say, and like, music and lyrics and everything. So then, of course, there were like people around me, my friends, my family, who started noticing that I was a yes man.
Yes.
And then they started saying, you're supposed to say no.
Yeah,
because you told me that you have this thing you had to do later. And then I think one of the most significant figures for that was Ma'am Pema and Tshering.
Shout out.
And then I think Ma'am doesn't even realize, but then like she used to say statements. She used to say statements, and that kind of stayed with me. And like there are 3 statements which actually really helped me, and till date I use it. I think them. So the 3 statements are: number 1, you cannot have everyone around you like you. That is just impossible.
And it's also very hard to come to terms with, because you feel like, but I've been kind, I've been nice. I don't even, I'm not a negative sort of a person. I try to be very agreeable.
Yeah.
So why can't everybody like me? It is quite a difficult thing to come to terms with.
Because like you could be a saint, but still people will have opinions,
Yes.
And then that's okay, because like, I don't think, even because sometimes when you're thinking you're doing the right thing, you're not doing the right thing. And then that happens to everyone.
Quite subjective.
Yeah. So then like, that makes sense. And then the second one was the importance of saying no. And that is so important, because then like you shouldn't, waste anybody's time, I feel. And then if you say yes to everything, you are wasting everybody's time. And sometimes in situations, the best thing you can say is no. I'm sorry, I cannot make it. Or no, I cannot do that for you because I'm engaged in some other project of my own, And the third thing is important because I think a lot of people have trouble with it, such as myself, is to ask for help when you are in trouble. And I think growing up I'm an only child, and it was difficult for me because I was known as the independent kid. And and then like I used to just do so many things on my own. And it's not like people wouldn't help me also. I just used to feel like, I think I shouldn't bother people
I can
with
do
this.
it.
I can do it on my own. But then I would be in a pickle. Like some things I'm doing for the first time and I don't know how to do it. But I would be like, no, we'll just look at YouTube and then like we'll learn how to fix a pipe or do the electrical work.
Yes. Better than asking for help.
Yeah, better than asking for help. And then and then I used to do all that. But then ma'am taught me like, you need to reach out to people because that makes you human, And then also the notion that I've said this before, I think in a previous episode, like one of the most important things you can do as a human is to ask for help.
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, is to ask for help.
But I'm learning that, too.
Yeah, of course, it's difficult. To unlearn so many things is difficult,
Yes.
And so I'm really thankful to ma'am and everyone else who've been around me. and they've helped me and they've pointed it out that why are you stressing so much about, and like
Yes.
it's not your job to be worried about this,
Yeah,
because
you
they
don't
just
have
ask
to
for,
do it alone.
because I used to take on like someone's work as my own. I used to be like, how will this person manage it? Like, now they can't even complete it. It's a deadline. I don't think they've started working on it. I should just complete the work or something like that.
That's not help now, is it?
That's not help.
That's you doing the whole thing.
And I think, in the present scenario, I'm much better because I do say no
Yes.
to a lot of things. Most people hate it.
Yeah, because पहिला त त्यस्तो थिएन त.
Yeah,
Change भएछ हौ तपाईँ त.
Yeah. But I think that's just growth
Yes.
from myself.
It's been
Let
quite,
me be selfish. It's fine.
Yeah, it's been very similar for me because I'm not an only child. I have a sibling. I have a younger brother, right? So growing up as the eldest daughter, okay, I've always heard things like, oh, she's independent. No, उसलाई त के गर्नु पर्दैन. She actually does not need help. This younger one, I'm supposed to take care of that, and because of that, I had to
Manage a lot of
handle
things.
and manage a lot of things on my own. Okay, and because of that, I grew up not asking for help.
Yeah,
okay,
relatable.
because I was like, oh, I know, people already say things like I handle things on my own. I'm supposed to handle things on my own because that is what people think of me. All right, and then only as I've grown up, I've realized that it's okay to lean on people, and mostly my partner's been very, very. He's been great, through it all. It's like he's made me realize things like it's fine. You've done things on your own up until now, but you don't have to. It's okay to lean on me, because I used to panic. I
get green flag.
I panic a lot, I'm like, and because I am not used to asking for help or, just depending on anybody else, most days it gets very difficult for me. But even then, I have gotten much better at especially leaning on people around me because it's fine. I have friends also. I have you all. I know that I can rely on you for whatever
Although
would
I'm
need.
late.
Yes, that it's fine as long as you're there, I suppose, right?
I'll be like, I'm here.
Yeah. So then, he's made me realize that, it's fine. Self-care also means, having support around you, being supported and being okay with asking for help because you don't have to do it alone. Why? Why do you have to do it alone? You have people around you who are totally, completely fine with, being there for you. Then why would you do it alone? Why should you? Right? So then it is very important you realize that and then let things go. Just let loose a little bit. Live a little, right? Life is but very short.
No, I think it's always a problem when your self-esteem is like, it depends on something else and not how you feel.
Very important.
Because for me, it was like, if I couldn't help and if I'm not important, or like if I'm not involved in some task, I used to feel like bad. And I used to feel, like I'm not needed anymore. And you're not relevant and stuff.
And feeling needed is something that validates us the most, I feel.
I feel very part of the team and like, engaging and everything.
Yes.
Which I'm like, sucker for.
For me, self-esteem right now means, being more confident, having healthy boundaries as much as it's still a work in progress. And mainly just this thing about boundaries. Even for you, because you've told me that, you've grown up to be a people pleaser. That has to do with not having
boundaries,
healthy boundaries, or at all, any boundaries at all.
There were no boundaries, Ayla.
Yeah.
So everybody was inside.
Trampling.
Everybody was using using the land.
Of course. And
that sounds so wrong.
You have to feel a certain way about yourself. You have to feel happy with yourself, within yourself, and it shouldn't depend on, people outside of yourself, right? People outside, how they validate you. And it is a very difficult thing to come to terms with, first of all, and work on, right? So it's been a journey, I suppose.
It's been quite a journey. And then I think it's a longer one.
Yes, it's going to go on.
It's like a continuous process.
Because I can't say, I, feel great about myself. I'm so happy. I have the healthiest boundaries. No, I don't.
Keeps fluctuating because one day you're like, sometimes it's shit, sometimes it's good,
Yeah, I'm still learning how to ask for help. I think that is one thing that I
need to learn.
really need to work on still, because I have friends that I know can rely on me. They know that. They do rely on me, but I just cannot seem to. I feel like, no, but I've handled it on my own. It also comes from the fact that whatever I'm going through, nobody will be able to change it or also understand, in depth. Of course, you can relate to it probably. Oh, yes, I've gone through something similar, but then you won't be able to take that away from me. So just that fact makes me feel like it's fine. Kina arkalai,
Yeah.
I feel like that.
So like, I was having this conversation with my friend this other time, and this is a friend who like, it's fun to talk because I love having conversations with people and then having like
clearly
different perspectives on certain kinds of things. And then although this topic and that question is not related, so he was telling me that somebody asked him this question where like, what is one significant thing that you've done in your life until now? Like, what is that one thing that makes you significant? Okay. And then he was talking about like, he was just saying like somebody else asked him that question and it made him think and stuff like that.
That's a very good question.
And the moment he pointed it out, I was like, oh yes. But of course, being alive, everything, yeah. Makes you significant. Yes. You're here, you're now, you're like in the present and you're talking, you're interacting. Yes. Again, that makes you significant. But what is it that makes you? And then what is something that like, you're proud of? Or something you can just like fondly look back and be like, that's kind of cool. That's kind of badass,
Oh.
So what's that for you?
Let's see. Okay, yes, something does come to mind. So in my career as a vocal tutor for the past 6 or so years now, I have, of course, been a part of, many musical journeys. But there is one that I always look back, at very, very fondly. And I had a student. This was, I think, a couple of years ago now. They've stopped learning with me. So this child had something called selective mutism. Now, this is an anxiety disorder where in, different social settings, they're unable to speak. But I noticed that with the students' parents, they were okay. All right. They used to be able to comfortably have a conversation, ask for things. Hey, Dad, I'd like some water. Or, I'm tired. Or please get me this. Have a normal conversation. But when it came to me or any other, new person, it'd be very difficult for them to speak. So then with me, they would, speak very slowly. So if I asked, hi, how are you doing? He'd be like, hi, I am. So then, they'd have to like process each word and then speak very slowly. But then as, we started getting along, he got more comfortable speaking with me, but of course, never on a normal pace. But the minute he started singing,
it's beautiful.
Would not miss a beat.
Yeah.
I loved how he fell in love with music, and then he was a big Justin Bieber fan. And I suppose we completed around 2 or so albums. He used to just love songs within albums. He'd be like, okay, I want to do this. And then he always had a structure to the sort of songs he listened to also. So, but of course now I'm not a part of his journey, but I'm sure he's doing great with music. He just didn't, he had so much that he was doing. He was coding and whatnot. He was a brilliant student. And, I always look back at that and then I just feel it is, I don't know how to explain it as such, but then I feel like that is one very, very significant thing that I have been a part of. Not that I did something great. It's not that. But just to be a part of, somebody's journey where they find it difficult to even speak, but could connect, and find that comfort and love in music. And I was a part of it.
Yeah.
I suppose there's nothing that beats it for me at this point in my life, at least. So that is one thing that I am really proud of. And I really, really am very fond of that one thing that I did in my life. Also,
like, you just connecting with kids is like so beautiful because I have seen, I think you are one of the favorites in the academy, which I know.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but then yes. But I have formed really beautiful bonds with a lot of almost all of my students, and it is great to be a part of that journey. I've always grown up thinking, because my family is of educators, almost everybody in my family is an educator, starting from my dad, right? So then I always thought, oh, it's such a monotonous job teaching, because you're doing the same thing every day, every year, and then you keep repeating that for the rest of your life.
That's what I feel about teaching too, though.
That is how it is. It is, but then I think it is also the subject, because I am teaching music and it changes over time. Whatever I'm teaching also changes, Of course, the basics remain the same, but it's been amazing being a part of, all these different journeys and teaching. And then I, of course,
have
put
all
a
these
foot
stories
in my mouth when I said things like, oh, I will never be a teacher. I'm never going to do this. I think that just came to bite me in the ass. But it's been fun. It's been fun.
That's cool. That is very cool. Working with kids.
It's been great so far. Now, I think self-discovery, knowing about yourself, self-love, all of these sound very fancy and easy to do, but it's not, right? And we are talking about our personal experiences. It is very important, I feel, that you know your preferences, even the littlest of things. I feel like you should know, right? Like, I have a question for you now. Do you like eggs?
Yeah, I love eggs.
Yeah, I eat eggs every day.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite way to eat an egg? How do you like your eggs?
I just like fried eggs.
Okay.
Which is like sunny side. But I haven't thought much about it. But I think I like fried eggs, with like sunny side up, and then like it's very specific. I don't know. It's like a little bit scorched towards the edges.
See, that's specific now.
Yeah.
Okay, when I asked this question to my partner, he said, they're eggs. I'll eat them. They're edible. Okay, so then he had no preference as to whether he likes them poached or scrambled or creamy or boiled. Nothing. They're eggs. They're edible. I eat it. I feel like it is very important, just like how you like, I, like them fried. But then how about the yolk? Do you like it a little runny?
I like it runny.
I hate runny eggs. Okay, I can't do poached eggs. Okay. I love boiled eggs, but it has to be
Do you like
cooked.
it when it's like a little like uncooked, the transparent part? Okay.
I cannot.
A lot of people don't like that.
Nope. I have to have my eggs charred, okay, almost burnt. That's how I like them.
Yolk is also not runny.
No, not at all.
I love runny yolk. If it's not there, I'm like sad. If somebody punctures the yolk, I'm like sad.
If I'm having 3 eggs, I only eat 1 yolk. That is how much I don't like yolks.
Okay.
And yeah, within that, I also have, because I feel like I've been somebody who has a lot of questions to ask about the other person, just to get to know them. Like how, I know that there are certain things that you like, you're weird about, like how you don't like, clothes touching your skin too much, if they're itchy. These things are preferences that are very specific to you. All right. Some people are okay with it because they don't have a preference.
Yeah.
And again, coming back to questions like this, I have asked a lot of these questions to my partner. Okay, what is your favorite, ice cream flavor? He's like, it's just ice cream. I just eat. No, you have to have, one favorite. Yes. And then he's, also
All
over time told me,
yeah,
things like, I feel like I know myself better now because of you, because you had these questions to ask me and I knew no answers to. I don't care. I have had no preference. But then how are you living your life like that, right? This is what makes you you.
But like for a lot of things, even I don't have preferences as such.
I know that.
Yeah, because I could just be like, it's fine. But then but if knowing what you like and you don't like is again something, because like if somebody again does something which I really don't like, my first instinct is like, no, but then they like it. But then like the new me is like, no, I think I should point it out.
Yes, I don't like it.
Because I am not comfortable with going through this.
Yes. Or again, not negating the fact that you like it. You don't. I don't have to like what you like, and vice versa,
like,
right?
Especially songs and movie choices,
You cannot like. Have you had people say things like, "Oh, you listen to that"? I
think it's most of the. I don't know why people put like music in a niche. Anyways, that's a topic for
later
another day.
But that's that. Please have questions. You even ask yourself, have a preference. Find out things about yourself. What little things do you like? She has these specific preferences. I'll tell you about how she
I don't know about them.
writes.
She's just
No, okay. So then she cannot write with normal pens because they're not ergonomic.
I had no idea you're noticing that. Okay.
And even ergonomic pens, she has to have them extra ergonomic. So do you know what she does? She likes pens with nibs that are very thin and they're easy to write with. But because thin nibbed pens are thin bodied, she uses tape to make them ergonomic. If you saw the sort of pens she made,
it is not
right?
aesthetic.
But
It is
very
not good
ergonomic.
looking. But
So then those are specific things that make you. All right, and then it's very important you know these things about yourself. But again, with that, there's something called. How familiar are you with something called imposter syndrome?
I mean, heard it here and there, but then of course in the internet, these blanket statements are everywhere.
Yes. So it's just this feeling. It's basically that feeling that you get when you doubt your own preferences. Not only preferences, you doubt your experiences. You start questioning your abilities. All right, and you feel like, am I making it up? Even your struggles. When you feel like I'm feeling a certain way. When it comes to, let's say, your mental health. Things like feeling anxious now. Of course, people are throwing it out there, like, I'm traumatized, I have anxiety. Anxiety is a medical condition, all right?
Yeah.
Like how I have somebody close to me who has anxiety, he takes medicines for it.
And
You
it's
might
very
feel
severe,
anxious,
yeah.
Like I don't feel like I have anxiety, but many a times I know that I have felt anxious, and these are two different things.
And for me, I've been one of those who's like, anxiety doesn't exist. One of those irritating people. I have been. I'm so sorry. But then when I was staying in a hostel, and then I had a friend who had a panic attack, and then it was so scary. I was actually scared
Yes.
of how bad it looked. Because my friend, she was like on anxiety meds only, but we were not aware of it. And then again, I told you back then I was like a person who was like, anxiety, no, you have to just like get over it and stuff like that. I also feel anxious and stuff
and
like
as
that.
insensitive as it is, sometimes you're just that way.
And then you learn it the hard way. And then I'm so glad, not glad for the person who went through it, but then I'm so glad I did learn about it early, But it was so severe. I mean, she started shivering and
She couldn't breathe probably.
she couldn't breathe. She couldn't breathe properly, and then she was fainting, and then. But I'm so glad she reached out and she was like, I'm Tshering, I'm not, I don't feel well. And then her eyes just kind of rolled rolled back, and then she was having this full on panic attack, right? Where she was shivering and convulsing and everything, and I was really scared. Then we handled the situation, of course. I don't think so
Then only when you see it that close,
but
you
then,
understand.
I think that was the day when I was like, okay, this is something, and I've been thinking wrong all this while, And although I wanted to be the cool person, was like, no, you can overcome anxiety and stuff like that. But then, no, these are conditions, and it's quite severe.
Yes, it does, right? But then, now coming back to where I started off with imposter syndrome, that feeling where you feel like all of this is wrong, because before this person who's close to me started taking medication, even we thought, no, it's because you're looking up a lot of things on the internet, because we are overexposed to all of these labels, to other people's experiences, and they keep, throwing out terms like this, no? I am traumatized, and then what else?
Gaslighting.
Yeah, gaslighting. And of course, it's real, okay? These things are real, but then how much of what you expose yourself to, and how much you're actually experiencing, how do you sort of separate, one from the other?
I've always said half knowledge about something is one of the most scary things.
Yes, it is, right?
We can go through, right? Because if you don't know about something, we should just stay quiet. And
that's where
try to learn more.
Yes, that's where again being performative comes.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I sometimes, when I feel a certain way, or I'm thinking too much, or then, the sort of feelings I have and these quirkiness that I have, when it comes very close to having ADHD,
Yeah.
I feel like, am I, overthinking it?
Yeah.
Because I know this is what happens, and maybe my mind is tricking me into feeling
Yeah.
that, oh, you also do this, you might have ADHD, all right?
Yeah.
Which I might, though. I have to go and get
You
checked.
get assessed,
I
yeah.
genuinely have to get checked. But then, how much of all whatever we're doing, what we're going through is performative, and how much is real is something.
Or like you read about it and then you have it. Like,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
I think oftentimes the thing is also like that, no? Zodiac stuff. I like the Zodiac thing, okay?
Yes.
I'm into it. I'm a Zodiac girly. And then,
Same.
but like, once you get into it and then you read these traits about your own Zodiac sign and then you're like, oh, I am like that. Or are you being like that because you read about
Yeah.
it?
Supposedly, they're supposed to be your traits.
Yeah. So something like that.
Yeah.
Even I used to feel like I have ADHD because of so many things.
Yes.
And I think it's just me being an artist, maybe.
But that's what, no.
But
that's
I don't
what,
know, yeah. But
that's what we
I
don't
wish we
know,
could just get
right?
like assessed or something.
But then that balance is again hard
we
to
should
strike.
do it sometime, actually.
Yes, I suppose, it's a part of the sort of exposure we have right now, right? This has, overexposure has blurred the lines,
yeah.
right, of knowing yourself and then over-analyzing yourself. So that is why, as long as you have these basic things that you know about yourself, you're true to yourself, I suppose you can ask these uncomfortable questions as to, hey, am I being a little performative here? Am I, overthinking, and am I just pretending here? I might not have these conditions. Like how I say, I know I feel anxious some days, but I don't have anxiety.
Yeah, you don't have the
I
disorder.
don't say things like I have anxiety too, because
I'm
it is
feeling
important.
anxious
Yes,
is the word or the
that's
term.
a feeling. I don't have this condition of being anxious and then having anxiety are two different things, as synonymous as they sound.
Yeah.
So it's very important, as much as you know yourself, you don't also overanalyze into, being everything that people say you might be. You cannot, right? That is...
But again, social media is very scary, that ways, because I think like it controls a lot of the things, because you think you like certain kinds of music, but then like I think you've been told that you like this kind of music.
Because it's cool to like them.
Yeah, and you're exposed to so much content. And also, this is something I had thought about last time. As an influencer, I feel you're one of the most responsible people right now.
Yes.
Because of like the amount of content people are consuming. And I think that's a lot of responsibility, because you have to be proper as an influencer.
Yes.
You can't be throwing out words or languages or the way you speak or the kind of content you put up.
Yes.
And there's a lot of content before, when broadcasting was something. TV. Again, I'm like for TV, okay? Although I think everyone gets to be a content creator, and that's very good.
Yes,
because we
it's
are also
amazing.
doing that, right?
Yes.
But then before, it used to be filtered.
Yeah. You have to be mindful.
What goes on and what might not, because it could be cancelled or not aired, and like somebody was held responsible for that. But right now it's just it's haywire. And then so this is, I think, as
within your this thing about influencers also, I have friends who are, I don't know what attributes to being an influencer as such, because
I don't want to be an influencer,
because they are influencing people. I hope we are not called influencers in any way. We're not influencing anybody. These are conversations about our life, and then of course we'll talk to a lot of people and all that as well. But one thing that this influencer culture has brought about is overconsumption. And this is something that is talked about a lot. Okay, I have a friend that is also an influencer as such. Okay, she's also a creator, but what I really like about how mindful she is about her content creation is that she never has, videos up, reels up, where she's like, the 6 tops, to buy this summer, all right, 5 lipsticks that you can get. Like, how many lipsticks would a person need? All right, up to you where you spend your money, how you spend your money. But you have to be mindful, especially young kids, when you're not making that money, all right? They're asking for everything that they see online to their parents. This started from last year, this La Boo Boo thing, where I have had, these young family members
But now they're
ask-
satanic, so
Yeah, ask, their parents, and they're crying about it. My classmate has it. And these are expensive. Like, you 3,000, 4,000
also the
for
surge
a
in
doll.
prices, which went like
Yes, because of how popular they were
Yeah,
getting.
yeah.
So it is very important you're mindful, as to the sort of content you're creating and putting out, because nobody needs, 5 lipsticks, all right? Nobody has to buy these 10 tops from Meesho just because they're reasonable or cheap, right? Be mindful of what you're asking people to
Yeah.
do, because they will do it. Young people don't care. They're not thinking straight. They're obviously they're not, because they're on the internet, buying everything. They're like, oh, please link, please, and then they're getting everything that they see on the internet. Tell me how good that is for
Yeah.
us. It's not. Right, so then I'm very mindful as to the sort of things that I
Yeah.
buy. Yes, I do hobby hoarding, and I sound like a total jerk right now, and a hypocrite. But I am not buying 10 tops, right? I am getting maybe 3 things for the 3 hobbies that I want to start,
Yeah.
and not at all justifying that. But even I'm learning. But be mindful is what I want to again add to this, right? And it has nothing to do with how well you know yourself, but then you have to have that control.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to be influenced by
I-
anything.
I suffer from that. I have no control, and I buy everything. At the end of the
Yes.
month, I'm suffering, of course.
I think
Because-
that is all, that. Of course, we have a few key takeaways, but
yeah. Favorite segment?
anything extra you'd like to add?
Not much. I
Right,
think,
I think-
you just have to be about this. The thing we spoke about right now is, I think, as a creator, you have a lot of responsibility that you carry actually, and you can't just up and go and say whatever you want
Yes,
just because you can. I feel that is bad.
it is.
There are ways to do it, and just be careful that, like, kids look up to you,
Yes.
and that's
We
the only
feel
thing.
responsible now because we have 140 people watching us.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people that is? 100 people? I can't. Of course, in numbers, when
Yeah.
jana mate yo
And I think
subscribers book
there are
it
people
out.
who've- there are kids who've come up to us and said that, like, we really like your stuff. Their parents have come up and they're like,
Yes.
oh, you're doing quite
We
well.
watch your
and,
live, we watch this, and then
Yeah.
you're having good conversations.
Yeah.
That's really good.
and I think that's like, I felt this sense of responsibility
Yes.
the moment I heard stuff like that, because kids are watching
Yes.
and they're learning from you. Maybe they don't like you, or they don't find
Yes.
you cool,
And they don't
but
want
then-
to emulate what
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
doing. Of course, they're not like, oh, they have a
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to know.
No,
But then
no.
what we still have to be responsible about what we blurt
Say,
out.
yeah,
Very
exactly.
important.
That's what
That's why we
saying.
write down
We
things.
write down things. And I think let's go to the favorite segment.
Yes,
Key takeaways.
So I'll start off with my first and very important point with, many a times feeling as an imposter. Not everything that you relate to or that you see out in the world has to become your identity,
Yeah.
right? Not everything that you question has to make you feel like you're failing at life. All right, some questions are unanswered, and you're uncertain about a lot of things, but that is how you change and you grow and you accept the different versions of you, as you go, right? So that is something that I feel is very important.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
I think you should not be so tough on yourself, because people will tell you that you have to act a certain way and you have to be a certain way, but I think you just need to be kind to yourself and to others, respect others and yourself. You're fine. You're fine. Do what you want, have goals, have fun along the way.
Enjoy your life. Right?
Exactly. And then don't see the world as such a place where it's just black and white. Like, if you don't succeed, because what is success really, again? And yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah, and one last thing, when I, of course, said, you know these small things about yourself, you don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
That's where you
Don't-
figure out as you go, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like, oh, this is 20
Yeah.
things about me and this is it. I'm going to stick by it for the rest of my life. That's not how things work. They're not. They're just not.
Life is not so
And-
serious,
Yes.
but you just live it. It's beautiful.
And ask questions to yourself about yourself. All right. Well, that's it for today. We'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.